Welcome to Dark Truths. Religion Uncovered. Tonight, we explore the contrast between ancient sacrifice and modern convenience, questioning what has vanished as faith became less costly than Scripture intended. We address a theological shift not driven by disbelief, but by a reevaluation, where following God turned into something viewed as beneficial instead of sacrificial. In earlier religious traditions, faith was not a tool for self-improvement. It was a disruption. To follow God involved loss before gain, surrender before clarity, and obedience without guarantees of comfort. Abraham didn't follow God to fulfillment. He entered into displacement. Moses answered a call that dismantled his life, while the prophets understood they would lose safety and reputation by proclaiming truth. Jesus emphasized this when he warned his followers to count the cost. As discipleship requires everything, true faith was subtractive. It stripped away attachments, reordered loyalties, and unveiled idols. Cost was central to faith. Loss defined devotion. Yet, contemporary belief often avoids this narrative. It promotes faith as an enhancement, offering peace and purpose. And while these outcomes can happen, they were never guaranteed. When faith is framed in terms of benefits, the cost feels surprising. Sacrifice seems unjust. The idea of costs is minimized because it threatens participation. In a culture seeking comfort and optimization, expensive faith becomes unsustainable. So belief evolves. Demands are lightened, sacrifice spiritualized, and cross-bearing becomes symbolic rather than real. However, ancient believers recognized that cost wasn't punishment, but a means of spiritual formation. Loss sharpened trust, and faith that demanded nothing revealed nothing. Minimizing costs weakens discipleship and makes obedience conditional, leading to fading commitment whenever sacrifice is required. Ancient theology insisted on a high price for faith because God is worthy. Worth defines cost. A God deserving everything demands everything. In contrast, modern belief often opts for a manageable faith that feels safe. However, such safe faith does not transform. It preserves comfort and undermines true allegiance. When following God becomes easier, holiness is optional, mission is trivial, and obedience is merely a suggestion. Ancient believers endured persecution for the conviction that God was worth everything. Modern faith often struggles with inconvenience due to its framing as beneficial rather than costly. Yet Scripture never tied blessing to ease. Often, blessing follows loss. Resurrection comes after crucifixion, and glory emerges following suffering. Cost leads to transformation. Without cost in faith, endurance wanes. A faith untested by loss will falter under stress. This is the sobering truth we face tonight. A faith that ignores costs misinterprets allegiance. Following God is not about gains, but about what one is willing to surrender. Comfort should not define faith. Obedience must have. We leave you with this challenging question from ancient theology. If following God costs you your reputation, security, relationships, and comfort, would your faith endure, or would you seek to renegotiate the terms? Thank you for joining Dark Truths, Religion Uncovered. Share your thoughts below. Has faith become cheaper to maintain comfort? Or do we still recognize that what costs everything often is the only thing worth following? See you in the next episode.